Imagine driving a car where the dashboard shows a full tank of gas and a perfectly cool engine. You'd think everything is fine.
Right, yeah, you'd feel pretty good about the drive.
Exactly. But underneath the hood, the mechanic actually just clipped the warning wires.
Mm.
So today we are doing a fresh deep dive into the economies of Russia and China, using the very latest available information for you.
Right.
Both of these nations project this, incredible outward strength, but underneath, they're hiding some pretty severe structural rot. Okay, let's unpack this.
Yeah, and we see this dashboard manipulation perfectly in Russia. If you just glance at their headline numbers, they're sitting on nearly $748.7 billion in reserve.
Which is a massive number.
It is. And they're boasting a 2.2% unemployment rate. I mean, on paper, that sounds like a booming, completely healthy economy.
Wait, 2.2%? That sounds less like a booming economy and more like, I don't know, a restaurant boasting about a 0-minute wait time, but only because half their tables are broken and the entire waitstaff just quit.
The waitstaff quitting is actually the perfect way to look at it. What's fascinating here is that the reason that unemployment rate is so incredibly low, well, it isn't robust job creation. It actually masks a crippling labor shortage.
Oh, because of the war.
Exactly. They've effectively lost around 2 million workers to, war mobilization, casualties, and just mass emigration. There simply aren't enough people left to fill the jobs.
Wow. So the civilians still there, they have to be feeling the pinch, right? Especially with money getting so expensive.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, we're looking at a 14.5% interest rate, what they call the policy rate, and 5.6% inflation.
Mm.
The Russian consumer is essentially suffocating under the cost of mortgages and just basic goods.
Yeah, it's brutal, and yet Moscow claims poverty is only at 6.7%. But, when you control the math, you control the narrative.
Right, you can make the numbers say whatever you want.
Exactly. The state is highly incentivized to tweak those formulas, basically to underreport the actual hardship so the public just doesn't panic.
Especially with external pressure really tightening up right now. Like the EU's proposed 21st sanctions package, I mean, that targets 90 banks and enforces a strict $44.10 cap on their oil prices.
That's a huge squeeze.
It really is. And the UK is cracking down on their shadow fleet, too. Those unmarked, essentially off-the-books tankers they use to sneak oil past the sanctions. So Moscow has the reserves to fund its military, but the civilian economy is just bleeding out.
Right. So Russia is a state artificially propping up its economy just to survive a war. But what happens when a state artificially props up its economy just to survive its own broken growth model?
That's a great question.
Because we see a very similar facade in China.
Oh, definitely. I mean, their export numbers are massive right now. Exports are surging almost 19.4%, mostly fueled by global demand for tech and AI hardware.
Huge gains there.
Yeah, but their consumer inflation, the CPI, is barely 1.2%. So here's where it gets really interesting.
Yeah, if we connect them to the bigger picture, China is operating as this hyper-efficient factory for the world, but its own people aren't buying the goods. Domestic consumption is effectively dead in the water.
Hold on, let me push back on that for a second. If their exports are surging almost 20%, shouldn't that massive boom in global sales put money directly into workers' pockets and drive up domestic spending?
You would totally think so, but the profit isn't trickling down to the workers. Producer costs, which is what factories actually pay for raw materials and energy, those are up 3.9%.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, and because domestic consumers aren't buying, factories can't raise prices at home to cover those higher costs. Their profit margins are getting completely squeezed.
Which brings us to their labor numbers, because China claims an official urban unemployment rate of around 5%. But independent figures point to a severe structural youth unemployment crisis.
And that crisis is directly tied to their real estate market.
Wow.
The property sector historically drove massive job creation across China.
Right, building everything everywhere.
Exactly. But now that it's essentially frozen under immense debt, millions of recent university graduates have nowhere to go. They're entering a job market that simply doesn't have roles for them.
So when you combine that hidden youth unemployment with a stalled-out property sector, suddenly their official 5% GDP growth looks incredibly fragile.
Highly vulnerable.
Yeah, it relies almost entirely on external demand, just selling to the rest of the world, because the domestic engine is completely stalled out.
These are both economies being managed for the survival of the state's geopolitical image rather than, the actual prosperity of their population.
Exactly. So what does this all mean for you, the listener? Both Russia and China are utilizing heavily managed state-controlled numbers to project economic vitality.
But the reality is quite different.
Very different. The citizens are the ones absorbing these immense unsustainable costs to maintain that illusion. Which leaves us with this final thought for you to ponder. If these heavily managed economies are already struggling this much to hide their domestic decay, what happens to global stability when one of these internal stress bubbles finally bursts?